Oh, and you know what? This is the book right here. This is the print book. I just can't read this. Hey there, everybody. What is going on? How are you? So I was recently tagged by a YouTuber, a pretty influential YouTuber in the visually impaired and blind community, named Emily from the channel Fashioneyesta. If you don't know who she is a visually impaired YouTuber who talks about fashion and style, but also does videos about visual impairment and disability. Now the thing is, this video was kind of supposed to be a Halloween thing because it's called Inaccessibility Horror Stories, and she tagged myself and a few other influencers who are visually impaired to do this. And you know what, better late than never. I'm gonna leave a link to Emily's video, which is below, and also up here another YouTuber, How Casey Sees It. If you guys recall, she collabed with me just a few weeks ago. She was also tagged. She also did a video of her own, so I'm going to leave a link in the description below as well. I don't want to let this opportunity pass me by because a lot of awesome people were tagged, and I don't care if it's late, I'm still participating in this. Inaccessibility. What is that? Well, it's basically when your needs are not met, especially when you have a disability and you go somewhere, or you're, paying for a service or just using something and you find that it doesn't accommodate your needs because of, well, your disability. And so real quick, I want to thank Emily for including me to do this tag. Thank you so much. I thought that was awesome. And now let's get back to the video. Hold on. Wait, what's with the happy music? This is horror stories. Cue the horror music. So with that being said, I will share with you some of my inaccessibility horror stories. Since I'm visually impaired, obviously I can't, driving's not an option, so I have to take public transit, whether it's the train, subway, or bus. And the thing that annoys me is when schedules are just posted on walls and things like that at bus stops. The print's a little too tiny, and because it's daytime, there's a lot of glare, and I just have trouble seeing. I mean, unless I put my face like right next to it, or sometimes I would just grab my phone, but then again, even with the screen at full blast and the magnifier on, I may have trouble seeing that too. So what I would do is, before I leave, I would go to a website, get the schedules, screenshot them, and be like, these are the times, okay, now just, okay, that's good, now I have to plan. Yeah, so you see what I mean? Dimly lit restaurants are another problem for me. I've ran into a few restaurants that are dimly lit, although I can handle it. A lot of times the problem is I have ran into a few restaurants that are very dimly lit and are very problematic for me. And I've actually done this once, but in order to read the menu, I had to take my phone out, turn the flashlight on, and of course, everybody was able to see it, and even my older brother even got a laugh out of it because it just looks so ridiculous. And in a way, I can't blame him. I try to avoid restaurants with low lighting though, with dim lighting, because I just don't want to have a fork in one hand and the phone in the other hand with the magnifier turned on just to see what I'm actually eating, what's on the plate. Speaking of restaurants that have menus on the walls, yeah. I try to avoid those if I'm going alone. If I go with someone, I just ask them, hey, can you read that for me? Of course, I use my phone now, I just use the magnifier, but before I had a cell phone, I had to ask whoever I was going with, hey, can you read me what the menu is and how much it costs, because I can't read it. It felt like I was just being an inconvenience to the person who I was going with. When you don't have a large print option for anything, especially for forms that you're trying to fill out. So let's say I was recently filling out some rather important paperwork, and well, this is kind of my fault as well, but I should have asked if they had large print forms. The font was rather tiny, and because, I have issues with contrast as well, they looked lightly written, so of course the phone to the rescue again. I had to grab my phone, the magnifier, because it provides better contrast. The problem is, when you're using a magnifier, it kind of throws off your perspective a little bit. So if you're trying to write in a straight line, you're not really writing in a straight line. It throws your depth perception off. And because of that, my writing kind of looked like a kindergartner wrote it. So I apologize to whoever has to read what I wrote in that paperwork, but I did my best. When an app is not compatible with VoiceOver. So I'm not totally blind, I'm legally blind. And the thing is, I don't want to strain my eyes on a daily basis by looking at screens. So half the time, or more than half the time, I turn off the screen and turn on VoiceOver on my phone. But sometimes there's a few apps that image. You folks who use VoiceOver know this all too well. And there's some apps where VoiceOver doesn't even work at all. It's like you just tap and nothing happens. So from grade school to high school, sitting in the front row was a thing for me. So you would think that I would be able to see, the overhead projector better or the board better. The thing is, I did have more vision back in those days, but still I had some trouble. Sometimes I was like, wait, what number is that? What are they writing? Unless the teacher was saying something specifically while they were writing it, I would just kind of, just hear what they were saying, just write it as they were talking. I was mostly an A and B student in my school years, so I I'm trying to figure out how I pulled that one off. And speaking of school, some of you guys know that I went to film school, and yes, this is film school related right here, but when a book is not available as a Kindle version or digital version, because for some reason it's just not available. So I ended up buying a few books from my film school days because, they're really handy, like the Filmmaker's Handbook, which is actually the Bible for filmmakers, for filmmaking students. But another book that I wanted to get was an editing book, and this is considered the editing book for a lot of students. It's called In the Blink of an Eye by Walter Murch. Now, I hadn't read it in a while, but I wanted to reread it just to, see if I can get something else out of it. It wasn't available for the Kindle. And I'm just like, dude, why? It's not a new book, it's an older book. How come this isn't available in the Kindle format? Oh, and you know what? This is the book right here. This is the print book. I just can't read this because I can read maybe like I said, a few sentences, but it's just an effort to do that. It's white background and black letters. The way I read Kindle books, it's black background and white letters. So that's another reason why I find it hard to read print books. So get on that, Amazon or whoever's responsible. Blind people want to be filmmakers too, okay? So those are my inaccessibility horror stories. So if you can relate, if you have some of your own, leave them in the comments below. Go check out Emily's video, go check out Casey's video, and yeah, I will talk to you guys next time. Take it easy. See you later.